Okay, Chaver, let's get started. Baruch Hashem. I think, Rabavi, this has been the strongest week. I know it's only been 3 days, but okay, that means we got to push through Shabbos. That's what we got to do. Mir Hashem. So tonight, usually Thursday night, we're going to do more Chazara, but because we only had 2 nights this week, we're going to do a little bit more New Gemara, and then we'll still have time over Shabbos, hopefully, for Chazara. The goal of Shabbos is to Chazar whatever we did all week, which, as we'll see in a few moments, is going to be almost an Amud of Gemara. B'siyata d'shmaya. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol nihiyeh b'dvarei. Okay, I'm going to start with a very quick Chazara, almost as quick as the voice note, about a 90-second Chazara to get us into things, and then we'll go weiter. Rabbi Yehuda Omer. Tanya, we learned in the Brayz of Yehuda Omer Mishum Rav Tarfin, Kapois Tamarim. The Pasuk calls a lulav a kapois tamarim. Kapois. What do we learn out for the word kapois? Im hayaparud, if it is separated, yichaftenu, you should bind it together. Amrli Ravina Ravashi, Mimai Dai Kapois Tamarim Tilulavahu. Fundamental shayla. How do you know we're talking about a lulav? Ema charuta. Maybe it's a charuta, which we saw meant what? After 2-3 years, the lulav gets very hard. You're saying you should have a psul of yavish. So I guess, very good question. I think the answer would be, if the pasuk meant it, then we would have to redefine what yavish would mean. If the pasuk would say, take a piece of bark, so now yavish maybe would have to mean after it's cut off a year later.
Right.
I agree with you ostensibly that it's dry, but dry is a subjective term. So we know dry in relation to what our lulavim are. But if the taich, the pirush, the translation of the pasuk was something hard, then yavish would have to be the next step.
So it's not dried out.
Correct.
Hard by its nature, but it's still
correct. Very good. That's the way to say it. It's perfect. When you go to a tree, the bark is not dried out. Correct. Then we'd have to define what hadar is. Right? Is matzah beautiful? Matzah is the most beautiful food in the world. Matzah, this hard, brittle piece of cracker. Yeah, because that. Understand what I'm saying? Okay. Says the Gemara. What's the reason? Beina kapos has to be able to be bound together. Veleka. Frakti Gemara ve'ima ufta. Maybe it's from the trunk. And yesterday we saw the big picture book, which seems to have taken a walk. Okay. No, not that one. The other one had better pictures. Okay, I'm sure it's somewhere that we saw over there that this is the ufta's mamish, the trunk of the tree. Says the Gemara, we have it or no? Oh, shkoich. Says the Gemara, let's take it. If this is important, because I'll tell you, I personally, when you see the picture, here to just pass it around and let's look at it after it. I myself can't focus and I'm doing it. Says the Gemara, what's the answer? Kapois b'chaldika parut. If kapois, to bind it means it has to be separated. And if it was the ufta, which is the trunk is never separated. It's a singular hard entity. V'hai kapois v'oimin, and this is bound and standing, meaning it's always a singular entity. Lo'ilam ve'ima kofra, says the Gemara, maybe it's a kofra, which is the palm shoot, which we explained, Rashi taught us, is between the first and second year when it starts to get hard and it's pointy, but it could be bound. Answers the Gemara, fascinating. It has to be beautiful. It has to be pleasant. A mitzvah can't inherently be painful. And if it was a lulav that was painful, that can't be a mitzvah. Beautiful pshat. Amarli Ravatais Father Ravina, this is new Gemara. Now we have a beautiful question. The word kapois tamarim, we've been defining as the kapois of a tamar, of a date palm. The Gemara now asks, maybe you missed the boat. Rabbi Teisva says to Ravina, Ve'ema, you know what kapois tamarim means? Tarti, 2, kape de tamri, clusters of dates. Maybe the word tamar doesn't refer to the tree. Maybe the word tamar refers to a date. And kapois tamarim is plural date branches. Just as one of those rayos that sometimes you have a ridiculous question. You're like, it can't be that. Not a little bit. You have to take a date palm, a date tree branch, a cluster of dates, mamish. We see from over here that sometimes you have these questions like it can't be. Why not? Ask the Gemara. Why not? Answers the Gemara. This would be your lulav. Again, we don't know what the word lulav means. Says the Gemara, kapasksiv. That when the Torah says kapois tamarim, there's no vav. If there's no vav, what does that mean? That means it's in the singular. So you don't take two branches of the date because it says kapas. Now we say kapois. So Yaakov, that's what you're just looking at. We say, oh, fracting Gemara, very good. Avi, ve'machado, maybe one branch of a date tree. Says the Gemara, lahu kaf karile. You don't call a branch of a date a kapois or even a kapas tamarim. You call it a kaf. So from the fact that Torah said kapois tamarim, it can't be referring to the dates. So rather, what are we stuck with? It is a lulav. So Meir take a Gemara, the progression, let's just speak it out outside. We had multiple steps over here. The Gemara first wants to know, maybe it's the hard tree after year 3, it can't be bound. Maybe it's the trunk of the tree that's inherently bound. Maybe it's year 1 where it could be bound, but it's prickly. Oh, mitzvah has to be beautiful, and it's not beautiful. So now says the Gemara, whoa, wait, let's change tracks. Maybe it's a date branch. Says the Gemara, no, it says kapas without the vav, it's singular. Okay, singular? So take one date branch. One date branch is not called a kapas, it's called a kaf. Meir the Gemara, now we have a newfound appreciation of what is a lulav. That a lulav, we know as a lulav, but from the fact that the Torah said kapois tomorrow, you see how much we can read into the words, we learn out by process of elimination has to refer to the lulav. And we continue. The Mishnah said it's Sinei Hara HaBarzel, which are, when we learned the Mishnah, we translated as, small decal trees from the Hara HaBarzel. That's what we translated as. And we actually said at the time, Rashi on the Mishnah keyed us off, that the Gemara is going to discuss what exactly is this. We said it's a midgeted, a dwarfed actually is the English word, not midgeted, a dwarfed lulav. But now we said the Gemara is going to discuss. So says the Gemara, here we go. Amar Abaye, says Abaye, Lo Yishanu, we're 5 lines from the bottom. Lo Yishanu, what did the Mishnah mean when it said, Sine Hara Barzel Ksheira? Says Abaye, Lo Yishanu Ella. The roish is a head, right? Or an end, the tip. The tip of this leaf, magia, reaches litzad ikaroi shalzeh, to the ikor, to the base of the other one. We know lulav leaves, right, are branches within each other, right? It's the V's. So says Abaye, when you have this dwarfed lulav, it has to be the one leaf hits where the next leaf begins. What does it not mean? Avol ein, similar. Actually, I think this picture book, I think, has the best picture of this one. Ikari means the base, the ikar, the main part. Avol, let's just read one more line, then we'll see a picture. Avol, however, if this head does not magia reach litzad ikaroi shalzeh, the root of this one, psula. And you see over here, this is a very juvenile picture, but it really brings out what's going on. That if the leaves are these short, teeny little leaves, that they don't reach one to the other, then it's possible. So says the Gemara, when is it kosher? Which really gives a little bit of a new definition of a lulav. That a lulav is this branch that the leaves reach the next level of branches. Says the Gemara, Tanya Nami Achi, we have a raya. Tanya Nami Achi means a raya from a brisa. Sine Har HaBarzel, the branches of Har HaBarzel, psula. Vanan Tanan, but our Mishnah said, Ksheira. Elishmamina, how we can answer up the stira very simply. Ke'abaye shmamina. What do you mean like Abaye? That when the leaves don't reach the next level, then it's possible. When the leaves do reach the next level, then it's going to be kosher. We turn over to Amid Beis. The Ika de Rami Le Mirma. This is a good phrase. And there are those who ask it as a stira, meaning we just brought a raya, Tani and Ami Hachi. We had a kasha, and the teretz was no stira. One is this and one is this. The Ika de Rami Le Mirma. And there are those who ask it as a stira. Tanan, we learned in our Mishnah. Our Mishnah, Sine Har Habarzel is kosher. Ay, vehatanya psula. Amar Abaye loy kasha. Kaner shorosh shel zeh magiel tzad ikar shel zeh. Kan she'in rosh shel zeh magiel tzad ikaroi sel zeh. It does reach or it doesn't reach. Absolutely nothing. One asked it as a stira and had it as a teretz. One brought it as a raya, had a kasha and had a teretz. Exact same difference. That's what Ika Durami just means. There are some that didn't bring it straight as a raya, but asked it as a stira. Just a different methodology to getting to the same end result. Let's get to the two dots. Oba Remi Miryoin, Amar Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, V'amri Law, and some say Tni Rabba Bar Mari Mishum Rav Yechon ben Zakkai. Shtei Timarois. There are two Tamar branches. Yesh Bigai Ben Hinoim in the valley of Ben Hinoim. Va'oila Asham Bein Beinayam, and smoke comes up from between these two branches. V'zehu Sheshaninu, and this is what we learned. Sine Har HaBarzal Kshira. These are where these branches come from. Vizuhi, and if you're wondering that word, Bigay Ben Henam, if it sounded familiar, Vizuhi Pisacha. This is an opening, a Pesach to Shel Gehenim Gishmak. So where do these branches, which by the way, if you think about it, is fascinating. If you take a lulav from the opening of Gehenim, it's kosher. Very, very interesting. I would have thought opening of Gehenim, it's ridiculous. No, the opening of Gehenim is kosher. Okay, we're going to stop here. We have a few minutes. I just want to, this is what we always point out. The beauty, this is literally one full amud. If you go back where we started this week, which is on Tuesday, we started Nifritzu Olav, Nifritzu, which was the 10th line down, and we got to Gehenim, which is the 10th line down. And so by Monday, everyone will know this amud of Gemara, Balpeh. Not Mila ben Mila, Shak v'tar. Which, by the way, again, we have to. Well, everyone reads. I'll just. If you just look at it, we just outside. The first sugya was the leaves ripped off versus the leaves spread apart, which that sugya brought up the spine. If you conjure up, that was the kasha, that was the raya, that was the tula shainis. That was sugya number one. Point number two was kapais tamarim. What is kapais tamarim? It has to be able to be bound and everything in between it. That was sugya number two. And sugya number three is sini hara barzel. The two different types. One is that it reaches, one is that it doesn't reach. And where does it come from? Ganim. So in reality, the whole amud of Gemara, we boil down into three big pieces. And when you know those three big pieces, you then could subdivide each piece into the next pieces. Why Ganim? That's kacha. I don't know. That's what it is. But very important. Let's get to reading. There were some hard readings this week. Over Shabbos, Rabavi, do we have to run Mechayev everyone to read it once or twice over Shabbos? Nachi says two. Two? We have Sunday also. So we have plenty of time.